GM, here's a rhyme from the Saturday Night Roast. Please call me Walton, you're in for the fight host. Just like at the beach retreat, I'll begin with a rhyme. I arrived the day before just to be on time. I drove for hours, not just sent in the post. Please all raise your glasses, together we'll toast. Each Bitcoiner here, and those who can't be. By Bitcoin don't fear, we're raising an army of the most real plebs. Flow like tidal, it ebbs. Pleb culture, true authenticity, can't be vague, use specificity. When doing education, don't just put the days in. Words have real meaning. Shitcoin's still screening, fools from their money. I'm not trying to be funny, but retail's still getting wrecked until self-custody gets respect. Phil and Walton, pleb masters of ceremony. Got the votes, I get high, but not soprano like Tony. Rolls on the road, I'm not talking Royce. Fiat-induced poverty isn't your only choice. Fuck shitcoins.com for the weekly heat. I'm back from a great weekend at the Bitcoin Beach Retreat. Countries try to increase while double spending the tax haul at a time when too many spread misinformation to twist where the facts fall. We're here with Ray for a Pleb Underground exclusive to talk Paxful.
That's right, everyone. That's right. Walton organized an awesome special, and Ray Youssef was nice enough to join us on the Pleb Underground. Ray, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate your time, and we can't wait to get into this conversation because I know we've got a lot of questions. I know the plebs want to know what happened with Paxful, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. It's my honor and privilege to be here in the presence of greatness. So I'm going to step up. That was a beautiful rap, by the way, brother. It's a solid for me.
Thanks, sir. So I recently did. I was at the Bitcoin Beach Retreat, which is a kind of pleb festival in the UK. Just this past weekend, it was 3 nights, and somehow they asked this guy to do a talk, and it's funny. I was thinking, oh, I should write something, and then I never did. And you know what? I didn't use a microphone. I didn't use a screen. I didn't say, look, here's a PowerPoint presentation. And the talk was on pleb media and culture, and I see an erosion of this and a corporate corruption of this, and that's what the talk was on, about how authenticity is really important in Bitcoin, but it gets corrupted by various forces, and to me, Ray, our guest today, is a prime example of someone who has that pleb nature, but does kind of work in the mix with some corporate Bitcoiners, with some people whose incentives don't necessarily align with Bitcoin, and it's more about themselves than the cause. You know, not to sound like a communist, but there's a lot of people in Bitcoin that it's what can Bitcoin do for them, not what they can do for Bitcoin. Now, I very much think you should use Bitcoin as a tool to empower yourself, right? I think the phrase I used so many times this weekend was, it's a catalyst for reducing your time preference. You know, fix the money, fix the world. No, fix the money, use it to reduce your time preference, work on a whole bunch of shit, and then like people around you start noticing, and then you help them to do the same, etc., etc. And that's how you fix the world. And it's a lot of stuff in between. But Ray, there's been you had this article in Bitcoin Magazine, but this is your first time speaking to the plebs. To me, you seem like a very authentic pleb type character. We want to know more about what happened at Paxful, and how you had brushes with some not so authentic characters, from my understanding.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the respect for my journey. I respect everyone's journey. And I'm happy to share my journey. We can all learn a thing or two from my journey. So I started Paxful about 8 years ago. And I started very naturally because I was actually homeless at the time. I had this previous Bitcoin startup, which was trying to solve a problem that didn't exist. Not too uncommon in startup land. And then I hit rock bottom, right? And ended up on the street, ran through all my savings. And a friend of mine introduces me to trading gift cards for Bitcoin. And he was like, yo, bro, you can get a $500 PayPal My Cash gift card for $250 in Bitcoin. You can use it to charge up your debit card, Ripple. No way, it sounds like a scam. Why would anyone do that? but I was desperate. So I tried it and it worked. I was like, wow, let me build a platform for everyone to do this, to leverage arbitrage across this huge $140 billion gift card economy. If you think about it, gift cards are actually a digital asset that anyone can buy with cash at any gas station in the world. It's a hell of a tool for onboard. So I said, let's do it. And I built a platform which was just like a copy of local Bitcoins. And I geared it specifically towards this arbitrage trading of digital assets that were already in wide circulation, because I knew this was a way to get things going. And it helped me in my life, right? And I wanted to see what else people could do. So I started this. I went to Africa. Before I went to Africa, I was talking to all these Africans online. So I believe Bitcoin could really be a tool to help them with that. The invisible people that the whole world has forgotten about, like those 6 billion people, what I call the global South, Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, subcontinent, etc. So talking to all these Africans taught me a lot. They were telling me their problems, whatnot, and it seemed to me like, wow, it was the Nigerians, though, that had the most gusto to try this and the most business acumen and energy. So I actually went to Nigeria after that. And when I went there on the ground, boots on the ground, face to face with these brothers and sisters, I learned so much. And I was in awe of what was going on there. And I said, and that's where I made the proclamation. Bitcoin, this was 8 years ago. I said, Bitcoin, Africa's going to lead Bitcoin adoption. And everyone thought I was crazy. They were like, how are people who are making $2 a day? What are they going to do with Bitcoin? That's crazy. The Africans will never figure it out. Now, lo and behold, Nigeria has been #1 in Bitcoin adoption for what, like the last 5 years? And this is just scratching the surface. Because remember, we haven't even, like, we just took off from the starting line. We literally just took off. Let's consider this. The biggest problem we had in the beginning was how are we going to get Bitcoin into these places when it's so hard for those people to get money out of the country? Like whole corporations are set up in places like Nigeria, Egypt, where I was born, all of Africa, just to find ways to get money out of the country. And it's usually with natural resources. So I did my research. The best bargain I could find was, to buy some cacao beans from Lagos and ship them to Rotterdam. Minimum order was about $10 million, though. I didn't have $10 million at the time. So how am I going to get Bitcoin into Africa to make it fertile so this whole Bitcoin economy can take off? I needed a hack, and I'm a hacker. So basically, I showed the Nigerians, hey, bro, you can tell your friends and family over in Pasadena, California, to send you money with a gift card instead of Western Union. Because guess what? Once you get the gift card, you can take it and you can turn that Bitcoin in. Yeah, no, keep that. Once you get that Bitcoin, you can take it and turn it into a bank transfer. You can sell it to your friend next door. He's going to want Bitcoin too. And you can charge him like a premium, a margin of 10% or more. So even though the Nigerians were like losing 50% of the gift card value, selling it to someone in China, they were getting the funds instantly. And then they could turn around and sell it for 10, 20% at the time or more for a bank transfer. So they're basically turning a gift card bought with USD in California into a Nigerian bank transfer in Naira using 2 peer-to-peer trades with Bitcoin as the clearing layer in between.
And they do better than having Western Union, and it'd be quicker.
Exactly, and quicker and better. Like when I say better, people ask me, why the fuck would anyone lose 50% off a gift card? Consider this. Any money that comes into you from the West into, say, Nigeria, let's take Nigeria for an example, but it's the same in all global South countries, especially in Africa. Remember, the official price for US dollars to the local currency is often half the price of the black market. But only the friends of the central banking at that price. So right off the bat, even if Western Union charges you 10%, even if they charge you 0, you're still losing 50% off the conversion compared to the black market, right? And if you ever want to take that money out and send it out, you're going to lose another 50%, be selling it at the official price. So they get taxed at least 75%. So for them, 50% is a huge freaking bargain. Plus, you get it immediately. That's why this economy existed. So because we created this corridor between Nigeria and China in gift cards, $60 million a week of Bitcoin started to flood into Nigeria just along that one corridor. Because the Nigerians were all over it. They're like, wow, this works. And from there, it flooded into the rest of Western Africa. And then it found its way to Eastern Africa. So we actually made the ground fertile there with Bitcoin using this gift card hack, which is really a stroke of genius, not my genius, God's genius, And the acumen and energy, vitality of those people, like they were just ready to go. They saw this and they went straight at the gold mine. It was beautiful. So now we need to do a lot more. But first, let me tell you guys, let me finish the Paxful journey, right? Any questions about that stuff?
No, I was actually just going to ask you about like, so does this become, is this Paxful yet? So I'm sorry, you were heading there.
Yeah, this is already Paxful. I was doing this while I was
okay,
at the
okay.
very beginning of Paxful.
Okay.
Right. And this is how I started. This is how I got all the business. So I built up the entire business myself. But I made a mistake.
What proportion of Paxful kind of in the early days was gift card trading versus fiat trading for Bitcoin? Or
in the beginning, it was around I think like 90% of revenue, and then it just kept going down as all the other stuff kept growing. So now it's like 40% of revenue. Well, now I mean, Paxful when I left it was around 40% of revenue, something like that.
Still pretty good.
So gift cards were a great way to onboard the unbanked. People without bank accounts, they have cash, right? They can go in and buy a gift card with anything. It's a digital asset to work, right? So that's how Paxful got started, right? So Paxful.
Just one quick question about banking in Africa. My understanding is that a lot of banking in Africa for a long time has actually happened on mobile phones. That mobile phone credit was one of the primary shit coins used as a store of value or something to trade. And if anything, there was a greater percentage of Africans doing, I don't know, mobile banking than Americans, but it wasn't happening on smartphones. It was happening, on I don't know what you call them, the kind of, the older style phones, right, with a whole bunch of different codes and all this sort of stuff. Maybe you can talk a little bit about, how Africa's kind of come at Bitcoin.
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. So MOMO, MOMO, short for mobile money. Mobile money is a predominant payment method in Africa. And I'll take an example. M-Pesa is a wallet started by Safaricom, which is the leading carrier in Kenya. 98.1% of Kenyans have M-Pesa. Very few of them have banking. They don't need it because mobile money is a predominant payment method. It started before PayPal. It works better than PayPal. And it works on dumb phones, something called USSD, which is that like little gray menu that you choose the options. So it's like interactive SMS. And that's how most of M-Pesa works. And they have an app which works on smartphones, but predominantly it's people out in the boonies all over the place using USSD to transact money, and it works.
I think sometimes it's funny. The Americans like to over-engineer things. Sometimes there was this classic thing of NASA paid, I don't know, some crazy fee to create some pen that had some sort of propulsion device, because of course normally pens require gravity for the ink to flow properly, and so they had to create some special propulsion device, and the Russians just used a pencil instead. Like sometimes other people just create something that works. It might be kind of a bit basic, but it works.
Exactly, and mobile money works, and it's a predominant payment method in Africa. Now, there's some problems with it as well. For example, M-Pesa, the leading carrier mobile wallet in Kenya, M-Pesa exists in 14 other African countries. I'm sorry, no, seven other African countries besides Kenya. But guess what? You cannot send money from a Kenyan M-Pesa wallet to a Ghanaian M-Pesa wallet because of the regulations. And that's the problem. There's 2,000 payment networks in Africa. Less than 3% of them actually talk to each other. So these people have a lot of money. They just can't use it. This is the core of the problem. I even gave it a name. I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I just said very interesting.
Yes, this is actually the genesis of the problem. It's only when I touched down their boots on the ground that all these brothers and sisters told me this, and I was like in awe. I was like, what the fuck? There's so much money trapped there. They just can't use it because they don't have the passport to get it out of the country or even move it to the country next door without going through hell. That's what keeps these people poor. It's not because they're lazy or dumb or uneducated. Far from it. It's because they suffer under the yoke of what I call financial apartheid. These barriers of capital controls that are artificially set up from outside forces. These shadowy super bankers impose this as a matrix of control on all these countries, including Egypt, especially Egypt, where I'm from. My mother just lost half her life savings because of this capital controls. Corruption is just a weed that grows around these barriers of financial apartheid. Once you show people a path to breaking out of this, they go right for it, and the result is always wealth. We've done that, like at Paxful, we did that on a small level but effective. Now we want to blow this up 1,000x. Imagine the entire global South being able to trade freely with each other. That's my dream.
So let me ask you this, because I didn't, to be honest, I never realized that it's not that there isn't any money there. It's that it's trapped.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm assuming, obviously, I'm assuming that benefits a very small group of people. I guess
it's basically like shitcoins, Phil. It's like you have trapped liquidity with some corrupt people at the top. It's just shitcoins, like all fiat, right? But microcosms.
Exactly. Yeah.
So who does this actually benefit, though? Like, I feel, because I don't know much about Africa. Like, who is it in Africa specifically that, in your opinion, does this benefit? Because I know Africa's a continent, but it's all separate countries. So I'm just trying to figure out.
Well,
who's the big winner?
Countries in Africa. 54 countries in Africa.
54
countries.
So the people in Africa that benefit from this matrix of control and corruption are the bottom feeders, the lapdogs of these shadowy super bankers that exist outside of Africa, right? All these lapdogs are very high political stations. They all have their bank accounts in Paris and London and New York, and they're beholden to these guys, but that's where their money is, and they're just feeding off of this. They get access to their own kind of arbitrage, right? Because remember, these guys can buy the friends of the central bank, the top dogs over there, top lapdogs. They can buy US dollars at the official price from the central bank directly, and no one else can. Then they can take those US dollars and sell them on the black market for double. And they keep doing it. It's so prevalent, they even gave it a name. It's called round tripping. And the more of these round trips they do, the richer they get. And it's actually in their best interest that the spread be as big as possible. So they're incentivized for inflation to grow and for their people to get poorer, because they'll get richer over their own local population. And that system of control wasn't architected by these lapdogs. It was architected by these shadowy super bankers to keep them in check, and it works. This is the central problem in the world. Once you understand this, it's taken me 8 years of boots on the ground to understand that this is basically a sword that these shadowy super bankers have over the entire global South. But with that kind of power, they can get them to do whatever they want. They can get them to work against the interests of their best people because it makes them richer. That's how they've architected this thing. And they have even another weapon in addition to this, which is even more powerful, honestly. And it's the thing that if we take away from them, I will officially declare that humanity has won. We should have a 21-day celebration, break out all the goodies, and let's have some fun. The biggest weapon that they have over the world and over humanity is, if someone in the global South, some leader, does something that one of these shadowy super bankers does not like, oh, you're talking to whoever. No, you can't be talking to them. You're doing something we don't like, or you're creating money to put your people to work or social work. No, you can't do that. Because they'll tell them, hey, if you don't do what we want, like, hey, you're printing up your own money instead of borrowing ours at interest or whatever, we're going to destroy the value of your currency. We control price discovery on the FX markets in the world. So guess what? By next week, everyone in your country is going to be twice as poor. How do you like that, motherfucker? They don't have to drop the Marines on the coast. They can just hit them with that. The moment we take back price discovery, we've won. So just putting that out there, long-term goal.
Right, you mean price discovery being with the producers rather than with people that are buying it with fake money?
Exactly. They can artificially suppress the value of gold and silver every day on these forexes with a few paper shorts, right?
It helps when France has the gold of like 14 countries in Africa, all of their gold.
Exactly. And that's the system that we have to break. That is the very spine of their matrix of control. Everything else grows out from that. It's basically a gun they're holding to everyone's heads. So our job here is we have to remove this matrix of control, because once it's out of the way, humanity will take over. people will start trading. People will start getting to work. Jobs will be made, and the money's going to flow. People are going to start creating wealth. Imagine 3 billion unemployed youth in the global south. What happens when you start putting those people to work? Miracles happen. You'll see cities like Dubai popping up all over the global south, all over Western Africa and Eastern Africa. It's going to be nonstop. And that's the thing that they're afraid of. They don't want us to break away. And every time a civilization gets close to breaking away, like Zimbabwe, what happens? They get smacked. Does anyone even know why poor Zimbabwe got sanctioned so hard like that? What? And it's still, those sanctions are still there. They can punish these people.
It's like both Saddam and Gaddafi wanted to sell oil for euros, right? Or not sell the oil for dollars, and that's not allowed. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how, right, as everything starts getting sold maybe for Bitcoin rather than all these fiat currencies, the response, right? It's going to be, because we see increased pressure in the media on El Salvador, certainly, right? The kind of the scrutiny of, oh yeah, they the human rights, but they've turned their murder rate from up here to up here. Like there's I'm not saying, I'm not making a judgment call on that, but there's lots of kind of powerful forces that use the media to control various messages. But it sounds like certainly you had this very, very noble cause with what you were trying to do with Paxful. So how did that cause get corrupted to the fact that you felt you had to leave?
Yeah, brother. So I will go into this, and I'll tell you guys everything. This is important to know, because I made a mistake, and it all started around COVID. The office was empty. I was just in the office. I was working nonstop, and I just became kind of paralyzed. Like my whole body kind of froze up. I couldn't even move. And I was trying to figure out what's wrong. Whenever my body talks to me like that, like something's up, like I'm in danger. It was my spidey sense going off, telling me, Ray, you got something's wrong here, bro. And I finally figured out what was my co-founder. And I took this guy I met in New York as my co-founder. It was a huge mistake. I mean, he was very useful in the first year. He was working hard. He was young. He did a lot of the code. I built, for example, me, I did everything from the systems admin, setting up the servers, to all the business, to all the marketing, to all the business development, even designed the whole product. And I just wanted this guy to code this. Anyway, he was great in the first year. And then once the money started coming in, this guy really started to change. And he bought a yacht. He bought a Ferrari. I drive a Mini Cooper. I'm very fucking happy. I'm not different. I'm on a different vector. So I began to see who this guy really was. And I didn't realize it at the time, but he was embezzling millions of dollars out of it. Not just that, even that was bad, but I wouldn't even mind that. His whole product team, he was formerly to start off as our CTO. I had to bring in someone else because he was very limited there. I said, okay, you can earn your keep and be my co-founder, but just make a great product. I already designed the 1.0. I'll help you, improve it. And that was his job. He failed at that miserably. Our conversion rates he destroyed our conversion rates by 90%. A miracle of fucking stupidity, which he was hiding for the entire time. The only reason we're continuing to make more money, we got up to 88 million in revenue one year, was because I was bringing in 11 times more people into the system. So he was hiding that from me. He was hiding a lot of stuff from me. And then finally, I was always advocating for him. I give people a lot of chances. I'm a really nice, generous guy. I want to see the best in people. I hope he could come out of that place. And he was, he got married and he had a kid and was trying to take care of his family. I really appreciated that. And I always advocated for him. But then my entire senior team, all the chiefs, said, you know what, Ray, we're going to resign if this guy doesn't go. And they all sent me letters detailing his list of abuses. And it was fucking insane. Shit I did not know. I don't know if he just became a different person or the money revealed who he truly was. But, he began to think he was untouchable. He was highly toxic. I remember one time, we were at my friend's birthday, who's now working for us, and my friend came up to congratulate him on his new child. It was a gender reveal. He had a baby girl. My friend's like, hey, bro, you're having a child. That's awesome. And our director looks at him and then looks at me. He looks at him and says, yeah, at least my kid's not going to be a retard. My friend John has a child with Down syndrome. He's also my godson.
Gosh.
And he looked me right in the eye and said that. I was like, what the fuck? Like, he just became this kind of person, and everyone just had it. At that point, it was like, I couldn't continue to advocate. And then, I hired a law firm. We did an internal investigation. He uncovered all of this stuff, including a financial audit, which my co-founder actually requested because he thought I was stealing. We're like, okay, we did the audit, bro. We found you embezzled $8 million out of the company with all these fake invoices. What the fuck is this? And then more shit. And then he stole another $300K off the company card. He even went into the office with a bunch of fucking goons with fucking like armored vests, and one of his friends just got out of jail. And he actually shook down the accountant for $10,000 in cash, euros. Yeah, and like everyone was scared shitless. He did this multiple times, to the point where the judge, he sued me after all this shit. The judge actually kicked him out of the office. The judge kicked him out of the office. He forbade him from going into the office. I had to clear the whole office. The entire Estonian team quit. The whole company was ready to leave, like all the good people. So I had to fire his entire product team. They were morons. He had 100 people we didn't even know what they were doing. That was another form of embezzlement. It's like we didn't even know who these people reported to. So anyway, there's a lot that was covered. Some stuff I can't even say on this podcast right now, but soon I will be. So we had to let him go. So we did the internal investigation. He refused to cooperate, and legally we dismissed him as an employee, but he was still an officer and a director and shareholder. So then we had a board meeting in November last year, and I showed them the reality. I said, you know what? This is not going to work. Because number one, I saw the writing on the wall years ago. America is not a friendly place for Bitcoin. Absolutely not. And especially not peer-to-peer. 50 local Bitcoin traders were arrested and rounded up the year before. 50 of them. There were like one guy, they tried to get him and his wife for 35 years. They had 2 kids because he sold $1,000 worth of Bitcoin to someone on local Bitcoins for a bank transfer to his wife's bank account. And the FBI or whoever claimed there was some wire lottery fraud somewhere down the line. And they try to get this guy, and like, that's just going to be the trend. And I looked at that and I said, you know what? We're in a highly risky payment method, gift cards. Clearly the government doesn't want to do this. They began investigating us, right? What are you doing with those gift cards in Nigeria, boy? Slow down. We had a great compliance program, though. I gave compliance an unlimited budget. I did things the best possible way. I had to, because my co-founder wanted the company to be in Estonia. That was a shit show. Everyone there was fired. It was horrible. There were a few good people, though. But I brought the company back to New York, set up a proper compliance program, all of this. And I said, you know what? With the compliance, the way regulation works in the United States is not only very poor for Americans, but it's like literally a death sentence for people in the global South. I'll give you an example. Chainalysis, which we're bound to use, is to have a strong compliance program. I know we all hate chain analysis. Believe me, I got issues there too. But let me just show you how fucked up it can be. Chainalysis can say, oh yeah, this guy is great. But then they get a severe alert from Chainalysis. It's a retroactive alert, meaning 3 years ago, someone from Iran sent $30 worth of Bitcoin to this guy's address on your platform. According to like the compliance program, you have to freeze that user's funds indefinitely until the regulators say, okay, you can give it back. And they can take years, bro. And you can't, even here's the worst part. You cannot even give them a reason. Imagine freezing up someone's life savings with someone they don't even know sent them $30 3 years ago. And you can't even give them a reason. I said, look at this. That's the reality, bro. And I said, that combined with the atmosphere in the United States, we can't serve these people. Plus, like, we'd have to take down gift cards as a payment method because it's just our compliance way out of the risk tolerance of our compliance program. That's where all our chief compliance officers told us. That's what outside counsel told us. And I said, if we take down gift cards, this business doesn't have a reason to exist. Plus, at the time, but still, Paxful's wallet was usuriously high. If you wanted to send out $7, we charge you like $12 or something like that. That was crazy, bro. Like I was like, no way, this wallet fees have to come way fucking down. It should be the cheapest wallet in the world. And like, oh no, that would cut half of our revenue. That's how I mean, the money my co-founder stole plus all that shit is how, he was living this lifestyle that he enjoyed. And I was like, no, this is not right. It's not with our mission. We take away gift cards and we cut down the wallet fees to something reasonable for our audience, then guess what? We don't have a profitable business here. It does not make any sense. So I said, hey, let's do the right thing. Let's shut this thing, wind it down the right way, kind of like local Bitcoins did 3 months after we made that decision. Let's spend all the money that we have left doing the compliance work necessary to freeze this $7 million of frozen funds. And I actually froze up almost half, freed up almost half of those funds. And let's, shut this thing down the right way, not owing anyone money. Everyone's being paid, and let's do it the right way. And he agreed. He agreed on the board meeting to do this. All the numbers made sense. But then literally the next day, he messages me screaming, no, let's not shut it down. There's no way we can sell it then. I'm not going to get this 9-figure exit. You need to get mine. I'm like, bro, you can't take it back. Can't take it back, man. We agreed to do it's the right thing. I'm sorry, go, you're young, start another business, but you can have your 9-figure exit. He went crazy. He hired a law firm and he hit us with a surprise lawsuit on Martin. And I had to struggle that week to find representation. I was in the process of trying to wind it down the right way, like local Bitcoin. And his court filings were insane. He accused me of everything and the kitchen sink, man. He was pulling up blog posts of mine from like 12 years ago saying, I was abusing anabolic steroids and vaping. Like he was trying to make me out to be a monster, bro. This shit was crazy. All in a desperate attempt to get his 9-figure exit and keep the company from winding down and doing things the right way. And this lawsuit got crazy. His discovery process, where they're looking for information. Like he put our team through hell. They were all ready to quit. None of them wanted anything to do with this anymore. And they did quit. I was left with no senior executive. They just said, "Fuck this, we're out. We can't do it." It was a terror lawsuit. And then the crescendo was this. He actually accused me of saying all the compliance bills were fake and all the engineering bills were fake. In the lawsuit, he kept me from paying any bill over $50,000 unless he got his approval. And he refused to approve any engineering payroll and any compliance bill. The madness. I got on I can send you the recording, but a 3-hour board call where I'm basically screaming at this dumb motherfucker for 3 hours. It was surreal. You stupid fuck. We're not selling dog food. You could not run a fintech platform without engineers and without compliance people. Moron. Yeah, it's surreal. I'll send it to you if you want to hear it. Dude, he refused. And then the entire engineering team said, fuck it, we haven't been paid for 2 months. We're leaving. Compliance team said the same thing. They're like, Ray, we love you, bro, but fuck this, man. And I didn't blame them then.
It seems strange that this guy would want to get rid of the compliance team. Very, very strange.
Yeah, I know.
Like, why would he not want the people around that tell him to, follow some vague rules?
Exactly, man. We owe compliance company $5 million. He accused them of being some kind of fraud. They sued Paxful,
of course,
in court, and everyone's suing them now. It's like, bro, it's insane too that he would accuse me of that when my engineering costs, I completely replaced the engineering team, and it was 20% less than it was under him. And they took the shitty PHP website that he built and turned it into a completely, like a sophisticated platform with 70 microservices. And this fool accuses me of that. It's insane. It's pure projection. So everyone quit.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone quit, bro. And I was sitting there Friday night after this board call, and I was like this. I was like, fuck, something's going to happen. How the fuck? Just last week, our BitGo wallet went down. It wasn't really BitGo's fault, but they helped us. And it was a little bit they were involved, but they helped us tremendously. They're awesome. But then I was freaking out. I was like, man, we just had a wallet outage and everyone's going crazy. Well, anything could happen right now. We have literally no fucking engineers, no developers, no infrastructure people. We had a couple of data engineers, like no one that could actually handle anything. Everything went down. Less than 24 hours later, our wallet goes down. I think it was one of our queuing services went down. I was like, fuck. And everyone was coming at me on Twitter. Ray, you're rug pulling. Holy shit. Scammers about to run. I was like, fuck. I called an emergency board meeting on Sunday and I said, hey, I'm going to struggle right now. These engineers don't want to work with us. He actually accused them in court of being some fraudulent underwear company He called the engineering company that they're ready to sue. They said, no, so sorry, Ray, we don't want to work with you guys at all. No more. We don't need this kind of shit. I had to literally beg them, give me 4 engineers. And I said, please, I'll pay you out of my own pocket. Just come back, stabilize the wallet, and do whatever you can just to make sure this thing is running smooth. Please. I was literally begging these guys. And he managed to do it. He actually managed to do it, but it took like 10 days for them to stabilize everything. And those were the hardest 10 days of my life, especially that first. I had literally everyone online thinking I was going to run through and run away with all of their money. So I went through that hell. I managed to save everything. They got the wallet back up, but I said, hey, we only have 4 engineers, so we're suspending the marketplace because there's no way we can handle something as sophisticated as a marketplace with no engineering. And then at that point, I got everything back stabilized. People could get their money. Said, hey, the marketplace is suspended. And at that point, I was like, you know what? If this is the way it's going to be, where I can't, take care of anyone, I can't promise this thing can work because I have a psychopath, just trying to play some bad divorce game with me. I resigned. I resigned as CEO. I had no team. The whole team just left anyway. So I said, I am out. People can get their money. I encouraged everyone to take their money out. And as always, I've been preaching self-custody for a year before that, religiously. Why? Because I knew this was going to happen. I mean, self-custody makes sense in any regard. But I was aware of this situation in Paxful. Remember, he tried to get me. He tried to put a gag order on me for all these tweets and everything where I was warning people. He doesn't want me talking about this. And I said, fuck that gag order. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to protect our users, number one. All this civil lawsuit stuff, that takes a second seat to ethics. So I'm sorry, maybe you guys have some questions right now. That was quite a bit.
Yeah, no, dude, this was absolutely awesome. Hold on, Walton. I want to ask him some questions.
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna. I just want to back it up a bit because the piece essentially where you left. I remember, if I'm recalling the timeline correctly, you put out a tweet about essentially helping the people who got rug pulled by Celsius, right? That there was a tweet about making all those people whole, and I just want to understand that timeline, right? Because that happened, and then I feel like it wasn't long after where you resigned. So are you able to share anything? Like, I guess what brought about your decision to help the the people who were wronged by Celsius, and if you can share anything of kind of what happened where all of a sudden, within a couple of days, it seemed like you had to step down from that.
Yeah, so after the November meeting where we agreed to wind down the company, I was like, you know what? We're going to do things right. We're going to make sure, number one, all those frozen funds are going to be freed up, except for the terrorists and real criminals or anything like that. Number two, because of all this DeFi shit that my co-founder was constantly pushing. Like, this guy was all about DeFi. He wanted to create an NFT marketplace. He's the one that got Celsius. I blocked all of his initiatives. He wanted Dogecoin on the platform. He wanted everything on the platform. And I blocked all of that. But the Celsius, I was like, all right, fine. But I guess, I let that one slip through. And because I let it slip through, I took responsibility and said, you know what, we're going to do the right thing on every possible front. And I offered to say, I will pay back Celsius users out of my own pocket. That's fine. So they actually agreed to let that happen. So we managed to do that. I freed up out of the 7 million of frozen funds. I got it down to 4.5 million. So like 2.5 million managed to be up a lot of the smaller account holders. That was a tremendous amount. There's still a lot. I feel like 2 or 3 million left that needs to be freed up, but he blocked me from doing any of that compliance work, refused to pay the compliance company. Basically, I was on the path through winding down, and I wanted to do it in the most righteous way possible. And Celsius and undoing all those mistakes was a part of that. That happened during this whole process. Of course, before the whole engineering team couldn't get paid on the whole website.
The other question I have is based on the, essentially based on the way that the whole situation rolled out, it sounds to me that, I guess, it sounds to me like you're more the responsible, logical, kind of humble person that is paying attention to the situation. And obviously this guy sounds significantly unhinged. And I guess I'm just wondering, it's like, it doesn't seem like he had any support. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like he had support from your colleagues or anything like that. So I do find it like, I do find it not strange, but it's just like, I feel like he's the one that had to walk away. You know what I mean? Like, he's
Yeah,
the one who should have walked away, but somehow, because you're a personally responsible person, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna walk away.
Phil, there's an expression
exactly.
there's an expression: givers have to set boundaries because takers won't. And this
Yeah,
this
that's
guy
a
certainly sounds like a taker.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
he's not going to set the boundaries. He's going to keep taking.
That's
exactly, exactly. And that's my fuck up. I should have nipped this in the bud. Was look, the guy past the first year, the guy was a complete fuck up. I knew he was bad, but he kept stringing me. He even offered to give me a huge chunk of his equity and step away. But I was like, all right, bro, thanks, I appreciate that, but I kept giving him more chances. And then when I finally took him up on that deal, he went back on his word and said, no, I refuse to go. I had a child. I was like, bro, just take some maternity leave and let me fix all this. He refused. He came back to maternity leave and the whole of the shit started again. And my entire team said, you know what? We thought you were going to get rid of this guy. We can't continue. They all wrote me letters. We began the internal investigation. We did it right. He had every reason to step away and try to make the most out of this thing. He should have been happy with all the money that he got, the money that he stole. He took out 600 Bitcoins as director's fees. 600, which I did not. I was entitled to that as well, but I left it in. And thank goodness I did, because the company would not have been solvent otherwise. He took out way too much. I took out nothing. I did not touch any of those directors' fees, not on that withdrawal. And that's what kept the company solvent. That's another thing. And to think that this fool actually sued me, insanity. Insanity. But yo, his legal team, he had no support inside. Everyone hated this guy. They all left. But guess what? Even the custodian of the company right now, I offered to sell my co-founder. I said, yo, I will sell you all my shares in Paxful for 1 Satoshi if you just do the compliance work necessary to unfreeze these people's funds, like I was doing. He refused. He refused. He refused. Bro, it gets worse. Even the custodian of the company doesn't want this guy in charge. I offered to resign from the board. The custodian said, no, don't do that. We don't want this guy in charge at all. What this guy had, the only thing he found were some savage, pitbull lawyers out of Delaware that just harassed and terrorized everything. That's all he had. So he was thinking, oh, I'm going to get my 9-figure exit, and he wants to see Paxful come back. They have a new CEO right now, and he thinks he can bring this thing back up, which the company is bankrupt. All the money was spent on these lawyers. It has no money. Its vendors are like all of our vendors actually, but 3 main ones. Their contact, Paxful's not answering for all the millions that they owe. They're actually reaching out to our vendors and users and asking, "Where's the money?" You saw that Reddit post, like they're not paying employees.
Yeah.
They took down the proof of reserves off the status page. I spent so much time and money after FTX to get that on there. They took it down. Why? What's going on? They're not telling me anything.
You know why.
And all this so we can pay off a bunch of lawyers and he can get his 9-figure, no one would touch. No one's going to touch any American company that's being investigated in a time like that. No one's going to touch that shit. And it's not even profitable if you do things right compliance wise. So this guy is literally a fool. He knows if he loses Paxful, he's gonna have to start from scratch. He's a fucking idiot. He has no fucking, like, he doesn't have the drive. He's living for his next bottle service. So he's in that kind of mind. That's all he's thinking. I'm thinking about changing. I aligned with the wrong guy. I married the wrong dude. I married the wrong I fucked up. I own that. I'm a fucking moron. I would take that back if I could. But thanks be to God, I'm on a far better path right now. Even though this legal case is still going on, I'm still dealing with these lawyers. I still have to do the right thing. And I waited too long to warn people about this. Because remember, these lawyers are saying, hey, Ray, you can't say shit. If you try to hurt the business any way, we'll come after you. They don't even want me to take a new job. It's fucking nuts, bro. They think I'm their slave. So I told them, like, no way, dude. I put the users before anything. And I finally did warn people. I should have done it sooner. But the only reason people are trading on there right now is because they think I'm still involved. Like the whole business was built off the trust in me. That's what it takes to.
I mean, I can tell you, Ray, from my experience, being in this space, it's like you're the face. You were the face of Paxful, right? And the type of messaging, that you would put out, this, how could I say this? This like very, kind of raw,
It's the name and the
brutal
nature,
messaging.
Phil.
Yeah.
Because Paxful, if you know any Latin, Pax means peace, and so
Yes.
Paxful is peaceful. Ray was the peaceful one, not like this crazy guy. Like, if it was name and nature, and yeah, once if you lose that, then yeah, I don't. Yeah, why would you use Paxful anymore?
Okay, so
Exactly.
So right now, I guess where are things, right? Like you're obviously you're not there. Okay, wait, actually no, I'm gonna back up because I just want to discuss also something that I remember seeing on Twitter. And I don't know if it was you that tweeted it. It most likely was. But something about your accounts were frozen and stuff like that. Like after you left, all of a sudden there was like this complete, like you got shut out of everything that was yours. Are you able to explain anything about that?
That was it. You couldn't trade on Paxful. They locked you out of your Paxful account, right?
Yeah, they banned my Paxful account. They banned my account. I could withdraw my funds, but first I said, no, I'm not going to withdraw my funds until I put the warning out to everyone: take your funds out. Once everyone started doing that, I was like, okay, I took my 2 Bitcoins out of Paxful. They kicked me out of email. They kicked me out of Slack. I was like, fine, all right, I'm not involved anymore, but I'm doing my duties. They're trying to resurrect this thing because the custodian gave the new CEO double my salary. I took a pay cut when I was running Paxful. Give him double my salary and give him 10% of the company. So now all these guys are trying to suck as much money out of this thing as possible. They're trying to lure back in all these Africans to start trading there again. They took down their proof of reserves. They're not paying employees. They're not paying vendors. They have at least 3 lawsuits out against them. What the fuck is going to happen next? Really?
Well, I guess next they start going after any competitors in underhand ways, probably.
Exactly. And they don't even want me to take a job at any one of these competitors.
Of course
they
not.
know they're threatening to sue me if I take a job at any company, particularly no one's or Noons, whatever you call it. My friend started this. I'm kind of one of the spiritual co-founders of this thing. Because, look, my whole plan is, okay, Paxful, alhamdulillah, thank God, it was a success. That it was a bootstrap company that proved that, number one, Bitcoin could be useful for real use cases, non-speculative use cases where people need it most in the global south. That's a huge, huge, huge win. Number two, it got Bitcoin into the global south, right? And that's another huge win. It got us a bit of a running start there. But a centralized company, especially an American center, can never serve the global south. It can never serve the 100%. Yeah. So now what is we need 1,000 Paxfuls out there, all sharing liquidity, all competing with each other. How do we do that? We need a protocol built around Bitcoin that will allow anyone to start their own peer-to-peer marketplace as easy as setting up their own block. And that's what Civ Kit is. And I can talk about that at length, but they put that in their court documents too. Look, he's trying to put us out of business with this decentralized protocol. I'm like, it's a white paper, man. And they're coming at me for that. What the fuck? Like, they have a business model that doesn't work. The only reason it worked was because there was trust. That was in part because of myself and the people that I work with, right? That's gone. Now they're trying to save something that shouldn't be saved. There need to be 1,000. So my job is to uplift this entire peer-to-peer space. And that's the future. They're trying to hold on to this centralized dream. My co-founder is dreaming of those days, 2017 and 2019, where he bought his yacht, he was doing bottle service every night, snorting cocaine on Russian hookers' private parts. You don't know how much trouble this shit had got me into, bro.
Oh,
that whole thing in Miami, bro, him and his fucking friend were waving around an AR-15, so we call it AR-15, on the roof of the penthouse we were staying at, wearing these fucking baklavas, and someone took a picture of that shit from a lower floor. Bro, he would get there. Lucky to get shot, but what did happen was the Miami SWAT team deployed an entire fucking team with helicopters, snipers. They locked off 2 city blocks. And I had to save these motherfuckers' asses. I saved them from being killed. I got them bailed out of fucking jail.
No fucking way.
Like literally, I've been racing from one contingency to the next
Oh my god.
for the past 5 years, bro. I am fucking exhausted. Not just that, but this. Oh, yeah.
Just a brief message to the Fast and Furious producers. You need to stop fucking around and just do movies about Ray instead, because all this where you guys have taken the franchise is a complete joke. Like after that guy died, like it's a joke. Like why is the Rock saving the world now? That's nothing to do with cars. Come on.
Bro, every time I go out buy a protein shake, I'm going 5 stars GTA style. Man, make the Netflix, get it ready, bro. I'm waiting.
Paxful, the movie series. I like it. I like it a lot.
Bro, there's all kinds of intrigue. I mean, I understand. There was one episode where I was staying over at my co-founder's place in Estonia. The cops raid the place. I'm there sleeping in the separate bed, in the extra bedroom. They come there, they raid the place, they find drugs. I think they found cocaine, MDMA, and something else. I did have testosterone powder. I admit. I'm kind of a closet alchemist. That was not like a federal crime over there. But all the other shit was. Guess who got busted? Me. Artur's father is a cop. It was his place. Yet they put the charges on me. I don't know how the cops found out about it. I have no definite proof that he set me up or anything. But at this point, at knowing what kind of person he is, anything's possible. That was another whole story. I spent 3 months. And I'm putting this out here to be completely transparent to everyone. I have nothing to hide. I spent 3 months in an old Russian prison in Estonia, bro, with a murderer and a rapist. I wish I was in solitary. That's what I had to go through, and at the same time to come back and run and save the whole thing again. So you brought in a bunch of fucking morons. This has been my life for the past 6 years. It's been a fucking madness. One fucking contingency.
You know what? It's really too bad. Unfortunately, when we pick the wrong partner, and we see the red flags, right? And to a certain extent, we end up scamming ourselves, right? Because we look beyond those red flags, and sometimes we end up painting these people for ourselves, right? So that we can move forward in this kind of rosy light. You know,
I think it's good people see the good in others, or want to see the good in others, and think that there is good to that person can step up at the end of the day. I don't know.
But and the person is not. So this is kind of the key, right? That ends up happening. Is that those people, right? They end up downplaying all the bad things about these people, and really only hanging on to the good things, not realizing that the person in their totality is those things, right? Yeah. And it's just too bad, because once the ball gets rolling, like at this point, it got so huge, you really couldn't undo it without it blowing up, right? Like you couldn't walk away. And it seems to me that from everything that you're explaining, it just seems to me that you were dealing with a person who was obsessed with control and obviously obsessed with themselves. So
exactly right. This guy never started a business before. He never knew. He thinks
this was his first successful.
Exactly. He thinks you put up a website and things happen. The guy had no fucking clue. And once the money came in, then he showed me who he really was. And I'm a fucking moron. But thank you guys for trying to make me feel better.
No, you're not a moron, dude. Trust me, you're not a moron. Okay, you're just a what do you call that? You're an emotionally mature person that is self-aware and that is confident, and unfortunately you were willing to give the benefit of the doubt. That's all it is, man. Everybody, but look, it seems to me like you learned from these mistakes, right? Because this is all we can do at the end of the day. We learn from our failures and we pivot, and now you've got Civ Kit, which really, I mean, to me sounds super interesting. So
yes, sir. Civ Kit, now that we are done with the past, right? So let me just close the Paxful thing by saying, like, I don't trade a Paxful. I would never trade there, knowing that it is right now. It's not about the mission anymore. It's just an operation and a website to suck as much money out for a bunch of lawyers as possible right now. They don't give a fuck about it. Yeah, learning that they might get shut down soon by someone. maybe the government. I don't know. You can't run a company like that with no, like, I think they have 4 engineers now, no security people. I had 14 security information personnel when I was there to protect this thing from being hacked. I had a whole team, a massive team of compliance people. They have none of that. So everyone should be warned. Right? So let's close the chapter on Paxful right there, and let's get back to. And by the way, the thing that hurts me the most right now is, if they're not paying their employees, they're not paying their creditors. They're definitely not. They have a lawsuit after a compliance company. They refuse to pay. They're definitely never going to do the work necessary to unlock those customer funds. And who knows what they're doing? If they took down the proof of the proof of reserves off the status page, which was always up and downstairs, then they might very well be some customer funds to stay afloat. Because the CEO's bringing in a whole bunch of his people. He's being paid double what I was being paid. It's fucking nuts. So let everyone be warned about that. Now, on to bigger, better things, on to the future. Civ Kit. This is an electronic peer-to-peer free marketplace. Right now, people ask me, why did you call it Civ Kit instead of just Market Kit? Right? But the truth is, there's a lot of great open source marketplace protocols built on Lightning right now. Quite a few, actually. But I called it Civ Kit because it's about civilization. And the truth is, when you look at a marketplace, to make a marketplace work, there are 3 ancillary services that are needed to actually allow a marketplace to work optimally and scale. And those 3 services, some of them are like 10 times more of a challenge than actually the marketplace itself. And some of them are actually governmental, civilization grade services that have only up till now been delegated to governments, right? Like, for example, the Roman Senate, they only handle 2 things, the treasury and the courts, right? And the biggest challenge to get a peer-to-peer marketplace to work is peer-to-peer dispute arbitration. In the case of a dispute, things don't go smoothly. People need a recourse, right? These are not drug dealers we're targeting with Civ Kit. These are normal people doing business. $100 is a big amount of money. They can't just let that go, right? This is clean, legitimate business. There must be recourse, right? So how do you do that?
Just quickly, is this for non-custodial? Because obviously, if it like custodial versus non-custodial, this sort of thing is slightly different. If you're using custodial, obviously you can use escrows and all this sort of stuff. But if it's non-custodial, you don't necessarily have the same sort of functionality. How does
well, you need the dispute arbitration for either custodial or non-custodial, right? Because whether you have the funds locked up in the Lightning escrow with a discrete lock contract or a hash time lock contract, or you have the money sitting in a custodial escrow, right, on some database like Paxful does, right? Either way, you need someone to come in there. It should be a third party. Could say, okay, this guy deserves the money and this guy doesn't, right? You're going to need a
oracle as
truth
such.
So basically, what we need to do in order to get this marketplace to work right, we need to create a peer-to-peer court system, right? In case of financial disputes, you need a judge. Who's that judge going to be? Is it going to be some guy in a wig in the city of London? No, it's got to be the people on the ground that understand how these things work. So in order to support the creation of this massive new arbitrage marketplace for the world, right? Civ Kit is building this thing out. We need to create another industry of peer-to-peer dispute arbitration. And I'm talking with people all over the world right now who have like all these young, smart college graduates that want to learn a new business. You want to make $2,000 a month or whatever, $1,000, whatever it is, doing all these peer-to-peer disputes. Well, you can do it right here. How well do you know these payment methods, these M-Pesa, all these Momo transfers? How well do you know the idiosyncrasies and regulations around bank transfers? How well do you know the fraud vectors in any of these payment methods? Well, guess what? All these separate companies now can be started. And these people can get up there and offer their services and say, I'll moderate your dispute. My fee is 10 basis points or 10,000 sats or whatever. And you'll get a dispute moderator from your local region that speaks your language and that understands the payment methods you're working with. So we need to create a peer-to-peer court system, which is tremendously challenging. It's like a marketplace of truth oracles, right? And they each have to have their own reputation. There needs to be, a provably random way of selecting And there needs to be an appeals process as well. And all of that is going to have to be built on Civ Kit. So we can have a completely new industry of peer-to-peer dispute arbitration. And this is not, there's a precedent for this, like Klarna, Swedish company. They just do e-commerce dispute arbitration. Now we need dispute arbitration for this whole new world of OTC and P2P arbitrage marketplaces. That's the first challenge to making Civ Kit work. And that's making the marketplace work. And that's an integral part of Civ Kit, which no one else has the balls to take on. Let me tell you, man, when I was the CEO of Paxful, you could go onto my Twitter timeline, and every single day, I swear to you, you might see a death threat or two, but you'd see like 20, 30 people saying, hey, Ray, fuck you. You're a scammer. You stole my money because your mods are in cahoots with the Chinese. So this guy's calling me a scammer because he lost his peer-to-peer dispute for his $50 gift card, as if somehow I'm sitting there trying to swipe everyone's $50 gift card. I'm not. However, let me say that where there's pain like that, there's opportunity, and it's a challenge that needs to be taken seriously. So if you're not getting that kind of hate, you really ain't doing enough in this business. Let me say.
Okay, so you know what? You bring up a very good point, okay? And this is interesting. This is something that I learned from one of my upper directors when I was doing my normie job. But a customer, right? You find the customers that have the biggest pain points, and what you do is you solve their pain, because that's where the opportunity lies, right? The more the pain, the more they want to solve that issue. So exactly. My question to you is, who is the target audience for Civ Kit? I mean, is it corporations? Is it individual users? Is it like, combination?
Oh, so the target audience is retail. Absolutely. Look,
okay.
Everything BRICS is doing right now on a nation state level by creating these corridors between whole countries.
Yeah.
We want to create these corridors between the people on the streets. Everything that peer-to-peer markets have proven over the past 10 years, or it really started with local Bitcoins, past 12 years, we want to take and accelerate and blow up, right? So that everyone, there's a marketplace everywhere. Nigeria should have 10 of them, 20 of them. And they're all sharing the liquidity. That's key. So instead of all these little itty bitty shops here and there, no, it's all one big global free market. It's truly Hawala 2.0. Have you guys ever heard of the word Hawala? Hawala. Hawala. It's an Arabic word. It means money transfer. So, Hawala is a noun, but you can also be a Hawala. It means basically you're a money transfer agent. There's a lot of Hawalas in India. Hawala still exists to this day, but it's considered a dirty word by regulators. And all it is peer-to-peer money transfer. For example, I was buying hot dogs from these dudes in New York, right? And there were a bunch of dudes from Bangladesh. I became friends with them, as I always do, the people that give me food. And I said, yo, bro, what's this Washington Express you got over here? They got a big old ad on the side of this food cart. I said, oh, that's our company, me and my brother. We help people send money back to Bangladesh. So they were Hawalas. They would basically take dollars in cash from people there, and then they would say, okay, I'll give you this number. Have your mother give this number to my friend, my uncle-in-law, Habib, or wherever in the city. You can find him here. Just call him up, and he'll give your mother the money in cash in Bangladeshi rupees. Right? So they were just leveraging their trust relationship with a relative in Bangladesh, and they were managing the floats between themselves. That's all Hawala is. Hawala started over 1,000 years ago by Muslim traders, solve a problem. It's the same problem that we have now. Back then, the Roman Empire did not allow agency. This is essentially third-party payments. People handling money on your behalf, which you need if you're going to run like a multifaceted trading operation, multiple corridors, right? And the same way right now, all these Western regulators, you say third-party payments, are like, that's money laundering. But it's not. It's innocent people that don't have a bank account where they need to have a bank account. Let me borrow yours or your friends just for this one transaction so I can make this payment. So the Muslim traders over there got together, and because they had this trust relationship, because they had this religion that was based on this immutable ledger called the Quran, right? The book that's never been changed. It worked. But right now we have this other immutable ledger that anyone can use regardless of religion. It's called Bitcoin, right? So essentially, the killer app for Bitcoin is store of value is nice, definitely is becoming more and more useful. But the real killer app is as a means of exchange, a clearing layer, a means of transmission across borders. And honestly, with a peer-to-peer marketplace, a Bitcoin really acts as a universal translator and transporter of money. With any two peer-to-peer transfers, any form of money can become any other form of money anywhere else. Because we give you access to all these magical money friends around the world that will let you borrow their bank account or their M-Pesa account or their cash to do a transaction. You just settle up on the Bitcoin blockchain and it works like magic. Now it's time to take this industry and blow it the fuck up and give humanity the one thing it has been lacking, which is an unstoppable free marketplace where everyone is allowed, big, small, dark, white, any religion, everyone is allowed, and you can't stop you, can't kick you off this thing. An unstoppable free marketplace is the key to completing the peer-to-peer revolution. I just want to frame what we're working on. And I've said our real job is civilizations that have been throttled by this system of financial apartheid. And really, this whole revolution, this peer-to-peer revolution, which we are firmly in right now, it began with the discovery of the internet. When the internet started going mainstream in like 1996 or whatever it was, that was the start. Then we had all these things, right? There's billions of these peer-to-peer communicators around the world. That was the second big step. And then the third breakthrough came through, and that was massive, peer-to-peer electronic cash. It has a funny name. We call it Bitcoin. Great. Now we have something to really transact with. It might even be bigger than the internet in the level of like advancement. But now the last thing we're missing is a peer-to-peer marketplace where all this trapped liquidity can be found, can be transacted upon, and we can finally take back control of prices. And that's what Civ Kit is. We are completing Satoshi Nakamoto's work, and we are putting the finishing touch, the crown, on the peer-to-peer revolution. And once humanity is all in on this thing and these corridors start lighting up all over the global south, they won't be able to stop this thing. At that point, their whole financial control matrix fails because now there's an alternative and anyone can use it. Doesn't matter if they're on a farm in the booties of Zambia or wherever. They all have access because this thing is adaptable. You can convert and transport value anywhere. It's what our own governments should have given us if they weren't beholden to Satan himself. Mic drop.
Right. You talked a little bit earlier about kind of what's holding Africa back from freeing value that's trapped there. What I understand a little bit about the Islamic world, and one thing I understand about Islamic law when it relates to finance is that they don't the concept of interest is prohibited, right? Is that correct? The concept of usury is prohibited. And so why don't they all adopt Bitcoin? Because it's the only money that doesn't have interest. I don't understand what's holding that back.
Bro, you just opened up a whole can of worms there, bro. Now we're gonna have to dive down to the very depths of the rabbit hole, my man Walter. You get ready for this, bro. You might just be in it.
I'm strapped in.
All right, so man, look, gentlemen, we're fighting a battle that started 2,000 years ago. Jesus Christ, Son of Mary, his main mission was to intercept the genesis of fiat, right? That happened in the temple, right?
One time he used violence, right? Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple.
He fucked them up, bro. This is like a one-man Matrix-style raid on the Federal Reserve at the time. This guy went in there like bald. There was no turning the other cheek. He was slapping cheeks up, bro. So he did this because what the priests of the temple, they tried an experiment, which at the time, compared to this mutation of money that we have now, seems quite innocent. They said, hey, let's take the shekel, which was the dominant currency at the time, which is backed by silver, and let's fork it to the half shekel. It was made of wood. You just printed it out of nothing. And they also charged their own rates on top of that for the conversion. It seemed kind of innocent, but really it was the creation, it was the invention, it was the first experiment of fiat. That's what happened here. And these guys were getting away with it. And Jesus said, oh, again. This is what Allah sent me to do. So he went in, balls to the wall, guns blazing himself. Like, that's when he was marked, like, he had to get out of Dodge. After that one, bro, that was his real mission. So here we are 2,000 years later, and we're still fighting this battle. And this entire system is metastasized into something different. Now, Christianity and Islam both forbid usury. In Islam, they call it riba, R-I-B-B-A, riba. It's the same thing. But, you know, the Quran makes mention of riba, but it doesn't explain it. But the hadiths do offer some explanation. I don't really trust the hadiths. They're like the Islamic Gospels, and there has been a lot of corruption that's gotten in there. But I'm not some scholar. I'm not super educated on these things. But I will try to explain riba in the way that I understand it. Most people would say, "Oh, you just can't charge interest, right?" No, it's a lot deeper than that. You can have any kind of business interactions you want. If people have capital and they're offering you capital, they should be, you know, rewarded for that in some way. It only becomes riba, usury, when one side is always structured never to lose,
Yes.
and the other side is. When that unbalance happens, then it's riba. And the last prophet, according to these hadiths, it should be taken, you know, with a grain of salt, because it's not the Quran, right? He had two hadiths which I thought were really interesting, and like, I think these ones are true. I think he definitely said these things. These are true. He said there are 70 levels, 70, you know, and 70 levels, different grades, gradients of riba. And the lowest level, the most innocent, was so bad it was equal to adultery with your own mother. Whoa! So this stuff is really serious. Then, like, it's that the lowest level is adultery with your own
Isn't that
mother.
what Jihan Wu said? Like, yeah, if you want to fuck, how's it go?
I don't remember the Jihan Wu line.
Isn't it Jihan Wu that says something like "fuck your mother if you want to fuck"?
Yes.
So it seems appropriate because like the shit coiners are you know are
Bro,
like hardcore Reba guys, right?
Exactly. And there's another hadith which completely, I think it matches this one. The last prophet also said, "There'll come a time where even if you don't directly partake in usury, the dust of usury will be upon everyone." So you can see how creating money out of nothing.
I think that's where we're at now.
The Cantillon effect.
Exactly. The worst form of usury has to be the system we're in right now. We create money out of nothing, right? We're
Yes.
the most fucked gradient, and the dust of it is on all of us. And apparently, that technically makes us all motherfuckers. So we're in that state. Gian was right.
Isn't that terrible? No, but I mean, look, to your point, right? This is the reality, right? We are all by virtue of participating in the system, we are all guilty, you know, and
We're guilty of worse than adultery with our own mothers. That's why humanity is in such a throttled, broken state right now. That makes perfect sense, right? So Islam and first Christianity, particularly the Byzantium Empire, Eastern Rome, right? The Orthodox Christians. Byzantium was also, just like Islam, very good at controlling. The bad guys, the shadowy super bankers, could not take control of Byzantium. So what did they do? They weaponized the Ottoman Empire to destroy Byzantium, turned the Muslims against the Orthodox, created a massive rift that exists to this day, and wiped Byzantium from the history books. And now, over the past 30 years, they've destroyed the reputation of Islam, a system where this kind of usury cannot exist. So once you start zooming out, you see the chess moves that Diablo has been making over the past 400, 1,000, 2,000 years. And it all starts to make sense. And then you start feeling real small about your daily problems. You're like, damn, we got some geopolitical goals to fix, man. We got some shit to do. Because our opponent is not thinking about the weekend. They work in minimum 20, 40, 100-year timelines here.
This is what people don't get. Ray, you hit the nail on the head. You know what I mean? Like, this is exactly it. And essentially, you know, any number of humans can get caught up in any one of these types of kind of like narrative traps. And at that point, you just have less and less people looking at these types of problems that you're talking about, right? Because everybody's just grinding in their day-to-day. So the more people that you keep kind of grinding in this day-to-day, that's less people that are looking at those problems, pointing at those problems. That matters. right?
So
That
why do you think
matters to the
some
people
people are
that
winning?
desire control.
Because they always have a lower time preference, right? If you essentially win by having a lower time preference, and Bitcoin is a catalyst. They say once again, Bitcoin is the catalyst for reducing your time preference. You then need to do something with that. You then need to, get building.
Yeah. So let me ask exactly. So let me answer your question first, Walton, about the scholars of Islam. A real disappointment, man. What the fuck happened? Like, let me bring it home a little bit. Egypt, where I'm from. 30 years ago, Egypt had the best poets, writers, scholars, teachers in the entire Middle East. All these Egyptians would teach Dubai right now. 60 years ago, these guys were like, they didn't have shoes, bro. They were out the desert. They couldn't read. They couldn't write. The Egyptians were teaching them. But now you look at Egypt, not only is it shit poor, it was a cosmopolitan oasis back in like the 60s. And now, I hate to say, but all the political acumen has been destroyed from Egypt. And how did that happen? Control of the media, the same template they did to America, they also do to Egypt. It's the most populous Arab country, so they've really locked it down. They've wiped any political acumen from the youth. They did that. The first move that they did was they destroyed the scholars. They brought in all these fundamentalist Wahhabi psychos, who aren't even really Muslim, talking all this nonsense, crazy shit that is completely un-Islamic, and they completely wiped away the Islamic class. Now in Egypt or anywhere in the Middle East, it's not the smartest kid in the family that becomes the imam and reads the sacred text and really understands. No, it's a family idiot. The rest of them, the smartest ones, can be doctors, lawyers, and shit, right? That's what happened. They destroyed the scholarship, the scholarly class, and that's why you're getting no resistance from the scholars of Islam. If they had a brain on their heads right now, we would have had 20 of these guys saying, buy fucking Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Fucking BlackRock is buying Bitcoin, buy it. It's like gold, proof of work. This is halal. Instead, now I'm kind of going on Twitter. I'm getting attacked by these Islamic coin dudes. What the fuck is this shit?
Oh my gosh.
Right, and that's haram.
Yeah, we've been seeing this. I mean, come on, how the hell is a shitcoin grift? Like, are you kidding me? And there's what's his name? There's a guy on Twitter, Muslim Bitcoiner. He's one of the few people that are actively arguing with these shitcoiners, explaining to them, you guys you're being fooled. This isn't what you think it is, And he's like, he's getting very vocal. And I hope he gets a little bit more support. Yeah, I try to retweet him every time I see his stuff because, man, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a total grift.
It totally is, brother. And I've been digging up here in Dubai about these guys. No one knows these guys. I think it's a bunch of Russian dudes. All the Arabs they put on their homepage, no one knows who these guys are. They just got a bunch of guys with do-rags. And they think that buys legitimacy. The royal family names they quoted, none of these royal family members have ever heard of the project. This is like, and the way these guys came out attacking us with all this projection and shit, like, come on, man. This is so dangerous because of all most of these oppressed people in the global south, most of them are actually Muslim. It really is. Like most of the people suffering under apartheid in South Africa were Muslim. And now they're basically gonna make it, they're gonna cost us at least 5 years because all these Muslims are gonna get burned with this Islamic scam. And it's gonna make it harder for us to bring them. Because you're gonna associate that with us. And it's so bad. I just went out there and I went at these guys because it's so fucking dangerous if they get away with this shit. I don't want anyone to get scammed. If everyone gets rich off this thing and these guys are actually geniuses and, stewards of, divine trust, well, then great. But I don't think it's going to go down that way, bro.
No, I don't think
I'm
so
not
either.
going to stand by. I'm not going to stand by and let these people get hurt. It's not fucking cool. So I don't want another battlefront open in my life, bro. It's the last thing I need right now. Bro, I was engaged at the beginning of the year and I had to call it off because this poor girl, my co-founder, was like sending her threatening calls with these thug friends and all this shit. Like, my life has been like, my life is just a series of wars, bro. And I've accepted that. Thank God. I have a battle to fight. I was kind of made for that, so I do enjoy it. But, it's incumbent on us to take a stand and defend it. Because if not, we're going to be the ones picking up the pieces and trying to heal broken hearts and broken wallets for the next 5 years. And we don't have that long. In my opinion, we only have 7 years to win, to get to this point where humanity has a real alternative, to get to the streets. We have to do this because these Klaus Schwab, cabal motherfuckers, shadowy super banker, turds, whatever you want to call them. We keep throwing around this 2030, right? We keep throwing it around in all these different ways, and they're hinting at something. The timeline is accelerating.
Bingo.
Every year they have a new psyop for us right now, and they have many of these things waiting and ready to hatch. And the frequency will continue to increase with their vanity. Their vanity is at an all-time high, man. After COVID, they're like, yo, all of us Western men that were saying, no, our women will never wear hijabs. Now we were wearing the hijab last year, bro. We're all
wearing the
all of us.
masks.
Bro, they humiliated all of us. And they think they can get it now. Our children can be told by their public school teacher that their gender is now something else. And they have to get corrective surgery. And if we try to interfere, we go to jail. Like, they have actually drawn the line. Like, they have encroached right into the heart of the soul of humanity. If we don't defend this line, do we really deserve to win?
Nope.
We have to defend, bro.
You're absolutely right. Ray, this has been, I got to tell you, man, like the time with you just flew by. This has been absolutely insane, man. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for sharing all of this. This is like, you know, between the story from Paxful, and I love what you're doing at Civ Kit. In all honesty, I saw some tweets about it. I didn't really understand, but now that you've explained it in such depth and really what it means, I'm like super excited to dive into it a little more, man. We really appreciate you joining us on Pleb Underground. This has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first chapter of maybe many chapters of I don't know, this crazy series that is Ray's life.
Yeah. And we really appreciate what you're doing, man. In all honesty, like, you know how it goes in this space. You see a lot of characters, you know, pop up, and sometimes they seem like they're doing the right thing. So it's incredibly refreshing when somebody actually is doing the right thing and, you know, unfortunately suffering through doing the right thing. Right? Because there really isn't much altruism left in the world. None of us are better than our incentives. And the reality is that it's very refreshing to see that, hey, you know, it's another person that actually gives a shit, you know? So really appreciate
Pleb Underground, we believe in integrity over popularity. We believe in authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, and it's important that the individuals who are making, you know, some financial success continue to hold that, because, yeah, as you say, not everyone does, and then we're just doing the same shit that all the fiat people are doing. Like, we need to set better examples, right? We're in an era of weak men, right? The good times created weak men, but now everything's collapsing. We gotta step up. We gotta get stronger. We gotta, you know, show examples of that there are more important things than, yeah, running off in a Lambo. Like, you know.
Yeah, there's not. If we fuck this one up, there's not going to be roads to drive that Lambo down, bro. There's not going to be anything. So we really have to man up right now. We don't have much time, but the good news is we don't need half the population.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1-3% of the population properly motivated, they can move mountains. I'll take a 10x person.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 normal. It's like any day. 1 10x person can move mountains. So as long as we hold a united front, we will win. But we must go directly at the problem. That's what I'm doing with Civ Kit. My plan is to reach much volume on this as possible. Like, everyone can make great tech, but very few people can get real volume going. I had a 3-hour call with our vendors in Ghana right now, and these guys are amazing. They will move mountains. This thing will work. I am now spending I'm a bit like the Vitalik of Bitcoin right now. I'm going around the world. I'm talking to all these companies and saying, hey, build on Civ Kit. I don't care if it's a marketplace, a DEX, even a gaming application, whatever it is, build on Civ Kit. Here's how you do it. Set up your own Civ Kit node. We will all share liquidity. And I'm making it really easy, giving away everything open source. No one's is the first company to actually say, yeah, we're going to build on Civ Kit. They're going to completely get on Civ Kit. First with the chat, then the wallet, then the marketplace, order book, everything's going. I'm trying to get as much on there as possible. So if anyone wants to talk to me about that, I promise you, Civ Kit is not big. Ship the first code 3 months early. I'm funding it entirely myself. It's a non-for-profit operation. The protocol does not earn any money at all. It has a token. It's called Bitcoin, and that's it. And that's
Oh
what
my
we're building.
gosh!
Wait, I know that one.
How did you do it without a shitcoin, Ray? What do you mean? Oh
It's
no!
possible to
You're
do
trying
it
build
without a
something that
shitcoin.
works? Man,
Called integrity,
The
Phil.
only way you can truly tokenize the world is without a token, or rather, like Bitcoin. That's it. It's very
There
simple.
are no tokens.
It's
There
actually
are only UTXOs.
it's amazing.
exactly.
Okay, Ray, this has been absolutely awesome. We're gonna wrap it up. How do I mean, I'm sure tons of people are reaching out to you anyways, but if people
Yeah, you're
want to
no
reach
longer
out to
Ray
you-
Paxful, right? You're no longer Ray Paxful on
Yeah,
Twitter.
that's
How
right.
do people find you?
I'm Ray Civ Kit.
Ray
That's
Civ
right.
Kit.
He's Ray Sifkit now. I followed you. Awesome. All right, that is
Yeah, anytime.
fantastic.
On Twitter, on Instagram, on Telegram, I'm Ray Civ Kit. Just find me anywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely awesome. And of course, does CivKit have its own Twitter?
Yes, it's at the Civ Kit and it's civkit.org.
Nice.
For the website. There's also a Discord. Read the white paper. By November, we'll have a fully functioning first CivKit node, and no one's promised to put their whole order book on there. Talking with Peach Marketplace, these guys are awesome. I spoke to the product people, Hodl. I'm talking like 10 different brothers in Nigeria and Ghana that all want to set up their own peer-to-peer marketplaces as well. So this thing is going to kick off. Everyone's going to be trading everything with everyone else. And I'm going to, anything I build on CivKit, be nice, clean, compliant, all that stuff. But I can't stop anyone building anything else they want. And within the CivKit node, it's completely blinded multi-signature transaction, best in class privacy. So you're good.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so look, we're gonna put the links to all of that in the show notes for the viewers to go and check it out. Guys, take a look at CivKit. Ray, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Pleb Underground, man. This was super eye-opening.
It's been my honor and pleasure, guys. Please do connect with me on Telegram. Love to be in touch with you guys. I'll send you all these links and more. You guys are heroes. Keep it up, man. You got something awesome going here. You guys are great interviewers. You let me monologue.
If I may,
so much, man.
Shukran Katir, Inshallah Habibi.
Habibi, shukran Habibi.
Fuck shitcoins.
That's right.
.com. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Thank you.